The evening began like any other corporate celebration. Bright lights, stylish decor, and a room full of people acting as if everything at the company was flawless. My wife had urged me to attend the annual office party with her, even though she knew I wasn't comfortable in corporate settings. Still, I wanted to support her. So I dressed up, showed up, and tried to disappear into the sea of fake smiles and forced small talk. What I never expected was for that night to turn my world upside down and reveal a truth she had been hiding for months. The moment we entered the room, I sensed something was wrong. People stared at us in a way that felt unsettling. It wasn't admiration, it felt like pity. My wife held onto my arm too tightly, wearing a smile so strained it looked painful. I asked if she was okay, and she quietly said, "Just stay close to me." She had never said that before, and immediately, a silent warning echoed in my mind. Something was very wrong. As the party continued, I noticed her boss, Mark, a man I only knew by name, lingering around her constantly. He hovered like a shadow, his eyes fixed on her every movement, every step. His greeting was far too familiar, and the half smirk he gave me when she introduced us sent a chill through me. My wife's rigid posture said everything. She was uncomfortable, even afraid, yet desperately pretending everything was normal. As the night went on, I realized something even more disturbing. The other employees knew. I caught the exchanged glances whenever Mark passed by her. I noticed how some women avoided looking at him altogether. There were whispers, hushed conversations, and an unspoken tension so thick it felt like the entire room shared a secret no one dared to say out loud. Yet everyone acted as if nothing was happening. At one point, my wife stepped away toward the refreshments table, and I followed shortly after. That's when I saw it. Mark had her cornered near the bar, his arm planted on the counter, blocking her in. He leaned in too close, murmuring something that drained the color from her face. She tried to move away, but he stopped her, laughing softly as if her discomfort amused him. My fists tightened. The calm, respectful husband inside me tried to breathe, but the protective husband was seconds from losing control. I walked toward them slowly, deliberately, giving him a chance to step away. He didn't. Instead, he placed his hand on her waist. In that instant, something inside me snapped, not in anger, but in clear, steady resolve. I reached them, gripped Mark's wrist, and said calmly enough to make him flinch, "Take your hand off my wife now." Every conversation stopped. Heads turned. The music faded into meaningless noise. Mark straightened, wearing a smug grin. "Relax," he said loudly. "We're just having fun." But when his eyes met my wife's terrified stare, the lie was unmistakable. I stepped between them and said, "You call it fun. She calls it harassment, and it ends here tonight." The silence grew heavy. Guests exchanged stunned looks, shocked that someone had finally spoken out. Then came the moment no one expected. My wife, shaking, whispered, "This isn't the first time." Her words hit the room like an explosion. Gasps followed. Some people looked away in shame. Others looked furious. All eyes turned to Mark as his smug expression collapsed. He tried to deny it, stumbling over excuses about jokes and misunderstandings, but no one believed him anymore. The mask was gone. I turned to the room and asked evenly, "How many of you have seen him act like this? How many of you stayed quiet because you were afraid of losing your jobs?" Hands lowered, heads bowed. One woman whispered, "All of us." Another said softly, "He's been doing this for years." Then the silence broke. Stories poured out one after another. Mark tried to shout over them, insisting on his innocence, but no one listened. Courage spread quickly, as if my wife's quiet truth had unlocked something everyone had been holding inside. The party transformed into something else entirely. Mark, once powerful, now stood exposed and cornered. Then something unexpected happened. The regional director, a man far above Mark, stepped forward from the back of the room. He had been watching the entire time. Without speaking, he pulled out his phone and played a video on the large screen behind the stage. Security footage filled the room, Mark harassing employees, cornering them, touching them without consent. Gasps echoed. Some women cried in relief. Some men clenched their fists in anger. Mark's face went completely pale. The truth was undeniable, loud, and public. My wife squeezed my hand, tears falling, not from fear, but from finally being heard. The director faced the crowd and said, "Thank you for speaking up tonight. This ends now." Then he turned to security and ordered, "Remove him from the premises." Mark resisted, but security escorted him out as the room fell into a heavy, emotional silence. Employees gathered around my wife, thanking her, comforting her. I wrapped my arm around her, and for the first time in months, maybe years, I watched her breathe freely. She whispered, "I was so scared. I didn't know how to tell you." I held her close and said, "You never had to face this alone, not while I'm here." The party never continued. Instead, it became a space for healing. People spoke openly, shared stories, and supported one another. And when we finally walked out together, hand in hand, the entire office looked at her differently. She wasn't just an employee anymore. She was the one who sparked change. And I realized that sometimes protecting someone isn't about fists or force. It's about standing firm with truth, calm strength, and courage powerful enough to shake an entire,